What matters most to you when selecting a financial advisor? Someone who shares your biblical values? How about someone who will take the time to explain your financial options clearly? Certified Kingdom Advisors meet high standards of competence, integrity, and biblical training, equipping them to offer financial advice grounded in God's Word. No more wondering if your advisor truly understands what's important to you. Find a certified Kingdom Advisor near you at faithfi.com. Just click Find a Professional.
What does it mean to design a family legacy with intention? And how do you make sure that legacy is rooted in faith? Hi, I'm Rob West. Today we're talking about the legacy you'll leave behind and how to shape it while you still can. Jan Thompson joins us to share how you and your family can ensure your faith is reflected in what you leave behind. And then it's on to your calls at 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. This is Faith and Finance, biblical wisdom for your financial journey. Well, today I'm joined by Jan Thompson, a trusted friend. She's founder of 1 Degree Advisors and a certified financial planner and certified Kingdom Advisor. She also serves on the board of directors at Kingdom Advisors. And Jan, it is a delight to have you here today.
Oh, it's great to be with you always, Rob.
Jan, before we dive into the 3 powerful lessons you've identified for families thinking about legacy planning, let's set the stage. From your perspective, how would you define what it means to be a certified Kingdom Advisor? And what do you think sets the work of a CKA apart?
Oh, well, becoming a certified Kingdom Advisor profoundly shaped how I help families approach what truly matters. When I began my financial advising career over 30 years ago now, I felt called to educate and empower people to wisely steward what God had entrusted to them, their faith, their family, and their finances. And as a lifelong student of Scripture, I always had this deep desire to understand God's wisdom for stewardship.
Yeah.
And as I practiced those principles personally and experienced the freedom of handling money God's way, when I launched my own firm, I really longed to integrate my academic and professional training with my biblical foundation. And that's when God brought Ron Blue across my path, shared his vision for Kingdom Advisors, and I knew instantly I wanted to be a part of it. So that CKA training gave me the tools to integrate biblical wisdom with professional expertise, and it changed everything. Wow. Now I help clients make values-based decisions that withstand uncertainty and reflect unchanging biblical truth. You know, I can't control the markets or I can't control politics, but I can offer guidance grounded in God's word that's timeless and trustworthy. So now, decades later, I see this ripple effect of biblically wise financial counsel in families and their legacies. And when people embrace the truth that God owns it all and we're accountable to Him, it doesn't just shift the conversation. It really reorders priorities. So financial plans, investments, and wealth transfers, they're all still vitally important. But now they're rooted in purpose, and that helps families find clarity and unity and strength, not just financially, but spiritually and relationally, and now across generations.
Well, and I know you have the privilege of leading a team of CKAs now at 1 Degree Advisors, and you all are doing some incredible work. I so appreciate your heart and the work that you're doing to serve families in this area, specifically of building rich family legacies. And I'd love to dive into that before our first break here today. I know there's 3 key lessons you're going to share with us today. So I want to start with this first one, and that is the most meaningful legacy is so much more than money. Unpack that for us a bit.
Well, when you hear the word legacy, I find most people's minds immediately go to it's what you leave behind. And it's typically in the context of money or assets passed upon death.
Yes.
I refer to that really as your financial legacy. But when you look at the fact that it's only one of really 5 parts of your legacy and that the other 4 parts are typically very neglected, I always like to make sure we incorporate those other pieces. So, for example, your personal legacy is the impact of your character and values, your life choices, how you're going to be remembered. Yes. Your family legacy includes traditions, stories, values, faith, relational dynamics that you intentionally pass down to future generations. And then if you run a business or you have a ministry, that legacy reflects the mission and the culture and the lasting influence of the work that you've built or the life you've led there, including how it serves others beyond your own tenure. And then finally, probably one of the most important legacies is your kingdom legacy. And that's the eternal impact of your life through faith-driven, living, gospel-centered influence, generous stewardship that advances God's purposes here on earth. So while time doesn't permit me really to unpack each one of these, it's critical to understand how deeply interconnected these areas are. In fact, when families pass down wealth without context or preparation that include these other areas, the legacy failure rate is alarmingly high.
Wow. Well, I'm really looking forward to continuing to unpack this, Jan. This is such an important topic. Folks, we're joined today by Jan Thompson. She's a trusted friend and founder of 1 Degree Advisors. She's also a certified Kingdom advisor. This is Faith and Finance. We're just getting started.
We are grateful for support from Crossmark Global Investments. They are a faith-based firm with a goal of offering values-based investments to help align financial choices and faith, ensuring a portfolio that reflects what matters most. Crossmark does this through investment solutions that span the capital market spectrum, from large cap to small cap strategies, including equity, fixed income, and balanced strategies. They are led by industry veteran Bob Dahl, CFA, a regular guest on the Faith and Finance program. More information is available at crossmarkglobal.com.
Wondering who Faith and Finance recommends as a banking partner that aligns with Christian values? It's Christian Community Credit Union. When you open a high-yield checking, savings, or Visa cashback card, you'll help advance the gospel when making everyday transactions. Visit faithfi.com/banking and use code FAITHFI when you sign up. That's faithfi.com/banking with code FAITHFI. Membership eligibility required. Each account is insured up to $250,000. This institution is not federally insured.
Thanks for joining us today on Faith and Finance. We're talking today about creating a family legacy, and that is so much more than just your financial legacy. In fact, that's just one piece. And with us today, Jan Thompson. She serves on the board of directors here at Kingdom Advisors. She's also the founder of 1 Degree Advisors. She's a CFP and a certified Kingdom advisor, and really has dedicated this season of her career to just pouring into families around this idea of an intentional legacy. And Jan, before the break, you were talking about how legacy is really multifaceted. And so with that in mind, how do you help families begin to shift their focus toward passing on values and not just staying focused on the wealth?
Well, interestingly, according to the research, the failure of legacies is usually not from flawed legal or financial planning. It's really from a lack of intentionally communicating with and preparing heirs. So I always tell people it has to start with being intentional. Yeah. We will all experience 3 legacies. It's the one you inherited, the one you are currently living out, and the one that you're going to leave behind. Well, you can't really do anything about the one you inherited. It is what it is. But you have a great deal of control and influence over the one you're both living and leaving. And so it starts with the first generation who's determined to change the trajectory of their legacy story. So I'll just share a personal story here. I saw this so clearly through my parents' legacy journey. They came from sad, broken, dysfunctional backgrounds that started in their early childhood. Having been raised in an institutional home for children, they met there and they determined when they married that they were going to create the kind of home environment with deep family roots that they missed.
Yes.
So they were introduced shortly after they were married to Jesus Christ, and that set them on a course to intentionally establish strong values and purpose-filled living founded in biblical truth, which then dramatically altered the course of the family legacy that I inherited. And that legacy continues to thrive now, with the 4th generation standing tall on those same values and purpose, because a young couple back in 1940, when they got married, made strategic changes to alter their own legacy story.
Wow, that is so powerful, and I think a perfect illustration of what we're talking about here today. Well, let's move to the second really key idea you want to share with us, and that is that wisdom must come before wealth. And, we talk about that so often here at FaithFi. I'd love for you to unpack that for us a bit. What does it look like to pass not just resources, but biblical wisdom with intentionality?
We are in the midst of the largest wealth transfer in history, yet the statistics on the wealth lasting beyond the third generation is pretty abysmal. Why is that? Well, the top three reasons that legacies fail are one, there's a lack of trust and communication among the family members, or two, the heirs are unprepared and don't know what to do with what they receive. And the third one is there's an absence of shared values and a cohesive family vision. And the heirs just don't know what's expected of them, how to steward this wisely. So it's not just about passing on financial resources. It's really about preparing the next generation to handle those resources with wisdom, which then in turn leads to unity. So wealth is a great tool, but without the wisdom to handle it wisely, with unity, division often occurs.
Yeah. So as you come alongside families, Jan, there at One Degree Advisors, how do you prepare them to help the next generation manage the wealth they'll one day receive wisely? Because we know that money is going to propel, it's the fuel that's going to propel them in whatever direction they're heading. And so we want to make sure that that's being met with the right heart posture when it's received.
Oh, you're so right. There's a powerful formula that answers this question, and it's found in Psalm 78, 5-7. It really specifically speaks to 5 generations. It says, fathers tell their children to tell the next generation, even the children yet to be born, and their children too. There's 3 things that you can trust God. How do you do that? By remembering his works. In other words, share your stories. And then by living in obedience. So I always tell families that we serve the same God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The biblical accounts of God's favor and blessing through their obedience that we read about in Scripture isn't just ancient history. They are lessons for us to remember what God did then, because through our own unique faith journey and obedience, he wants to continue to do that again for generations to come. And then as you recall those family stories of how God showed up, study your family and begin identifying those values that altered your legacy journey. It could be great choices or major mistakes that God redeemed. But look for ways to have those open, authentic conversations about your life's purpose, your values, responsibilities, expectations. Then at appropriate ages, begin sharing more of your story, along with your estate plan and financial plans, but do so through the filter of values and principles that go beyond those numbers. And for those who want a little more support, I'm launching a new complimentary weekly email post to help equip families with concepts and action steps that they can implement to change or strengthen their family legacy trajectory. And anyone can sign up for that weekly email. It's going to be at, the website's going to be somewhereonpurpose.com. It's just like it sounds. We also have more hands-on coaching that we do through our own legacy planning at One Degree Advisors. We've developed 2 programs. One of them is called the North Star program. This is for Generation 1, and that helps them identify their family's true north, who you are, what you stand for, what matters most, what you envision for future generations. And we create that generational roadmap that becomes a visual for future generations to capture those concepts. And then those who want more multi-generational coaching, we offer the navigation program. It's designed to bring your legacy vision to life. And this is very customized hands-on coaching experience with immersive activities designed to build a vibrant living legacy among multiple generations. And then there's one other thing that we're working on, and there are several of us at Kingdom Advisors who are actively working in this area with multi-generational legacy planning. So we're now working with other certified Kingdom Advisors in our network to equip them to have these legacy conversations with their clients. So more will be coming as we continue to build this out through Kingdom Advisors.
Well, I'm so excited about the resources you just mentioned and what's happening here at Kingdom Advisors with other advisors like you, Jan, and your team that are focused on this area of family legacy. So, folks, I couldn't underscore what she just shared more significantly. Jan, we've got about a minute left. Let's finish with the need to be intentional, because this just doesn't happen automatically. You have to be intentional as a family to do what you're describing here, right?
Right. Yeah, Psalm 71 tells us, even when I'm old and gray, don't forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation. So your faith journey is unique and it matters. Ask God to give you the insight into your best next step to declare how he's shown up for you and begin building that same trust and communication with those that matter most. Then I tell people, today is the day to start. You may not have done anything yesterday or prior to that, but you can do something today. Hope isn't a strategy. There are two main reasons I continue to hear from families why they've not started building an intentional legacy. One, they have no idea where to start. Or two, they put it off believing that they'll tackle it when they aren't quite so busy or distracted or pressured. I say procrastination is that silent killer of a strong family legacy.
Yes.
And another, just expose them to the needs of others. A missions trip, a foreign country, or a current service project in your own backyard where the entire family gets involved in serving together.
Wow, that's powerful. Well, we've just scratched the surface, so we're going to have you back. But Jan, thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
That's Jan Thompson, Certified Kingdom Advisor and founder of 1 Degree Advisors. If you want to learn more, go to onedegreeadvisors.com. Stick around.
Right now, more people than ever are looking for biblical wisdom to navigate their finances, and you can help meet that need. When you become a Faith5 partner, you're equipping believers to trust God, steward His resources well, and live with kingdom purpose. Partners receive early access to our newest resources, our quarterly Faithful Steward magazine, and the pro version of the Faith5 app. Become a Faith5 partner with your gift of $35 a month or $400 a year at faith5.com/partner.
As the leading advocate for the Christian financial industry, Kingdom Advisors serves the public by promoting the integration of a biblical worldview across every aspect of the financial services industry. And we serve a growing network of thousands of Christian financial professionals, equipping and empowering them to carry biblical financial wisdom to their clients, peers, and community. For more information, visit kingdomadvisors.com. That's kingdomadvisors.com.
Great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance. We're looking forward to taking your calls and questions today. That number to call, 800-525-7000. It's 800-525-7000. Our team is standing by. We'd love to tackle whatever is on your mind today. Let's head to the phones. Let's go to Grand Rapids. Hi, Valerie. Go ahead.
Hello. I'm DPOA for my aunt, who is a very generous giver all of her life. And although when her dementia went in, she was maybe giving to some things that weren't wise, but she was able to kind of, could see what she gave to and did some giving early on, not as much as the 50% she was giving away sometimes. But now she really can't. She still has a heart for missions, but it just tells me, you do what's right. I can't think about that. But now she's in an assisted living and she's needed increasing care. So it's fairly expensive and it's going up $300 a month, starting this year. So she has 6 to 7 years left of investment if she stays at this level, but that's barring any medical things or other things that could come up too. So I'm trying to figure out what's the responsible thing. Do I still give in faith? Or would that come back and I'd have to justify that, or would
Yes.
She goes on Medicaid, they go after the people she gave to, or what?
Yes. Well, I can appreciate that because I love the fact that you want to honor her desires and generous heart as you steward on behalf of her because she's unable to do so cognitively, these resources. And yet I would just say as her guardian, Valerie, your first obligation is to care for your aunt. And so I would say in, your desire to make sure that her needs are met and that she can live comfortably, that would be my primary objective. And, the extent to which there's something left over, obviously that all that money can be given away to charity. If she had, far more than you believe she would need, then I think, honoring, continuing to give to missions and honoring that desire that, was so clear just in the way she lived her life would be great, but it just doesn't sound like that's the situation that we're in. And, she is ultimately the steward, but she's unable to make those decisions. The Lord doesn't need her money. And she clearly was very generous as an act of worship to the Lord when she was able to do so. But I think at this point, if it were me, my primary objective, at least with these resources, not talking about your own, with these resources would be to ensure that everything that the Lord has entrusted to her is available for her care. And that would be my primary focus.
Okay. I have another question. I mean, it was good when she finally did. I mean, she was very private about stuff. She just started letting me understand her finances, but then the people she invested with, we were able to track things and get things on him. But right now, we've got another man who had started a ministry in a nursing home. We've kind of taken over when he couldn't, but we've kind of come to find out how messed up his finances are and don't even know how to go about, what kind of person would be the best to even sort this out, or whether we're better just letting it take its flow. And when it comes to a crisis, somebody else will do something.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to get somebody in there to just try to help take a look at that. There is a resource that we offer that are called Certified Christian Financial Counselors, and they specialize in budgets and spending plans and, debt plans and helping people just kind of get things in proper order with regard to managing finances. So this is not a financial advisor or a wealth manager, really more focused on the mechanics of personal finance. So head to our website, faithfi.com, click Find a Professional. If you choose budgeting or debt, you'll get a list of certified Christian financial counselors. Anyone can help. Thanks for your call. Let's go to Memphis. Hi, Helen. Go right ahead.
Thank you for taking my call. I have a question about a friend that is very deep in debt, a Christian friend. And I try to get this person, I'm like, it's great being debt-free. I want that for you. And he spends, kid you not, $200 a month on bank fees, withdrawals from ATMs or things that have bounced or whatever. And he makes a good income. I just can't seem to impress on him how great life would be if he didn't have any debt and he didn't have to throw his money away. I was wondering if you can help me in some way to encourage him.
Yeah. Well, a couple of thoughts here, Helen. Number one, at the end of the day, he's going to have to make that decision for himself. You can't do it for him. But I think there's a couple of things you can do. Number one is just by way of you living out the joy and the peace of mind that you have from being unencumbered, I would imagine would be somewhat contagious for him. So as you all interact and you have an opportunity to celebrate, not in a boastful way, but celebrate God's faithfulness and just the peace of mind that you have by living simply and owing nothing. I think over time, especially if he has some mounting bills and it has some concern over his ability to pay, that life that God designed when we follow his principles and we follow his ways is contagious. And so I think you just kind of living that out over time will take care of some of that. But secondly, perhaps you give him a gift of a book that would, really help him to uncover God's design for money. And so I'd love to send you perhaps Howard Dayton's book, Your Money Counts, I think could be a great one. It certainly addresses this topic of debt from a biblical perspective, but it covers a host of other issues from lifestyle and spending plans to, even talking about generosity, and just really kind of is a great primer for biblical money management, Helen. And perhaps you give him that as a gift, next time you see him, and just say, hey, I found this to be useful. I want to pass it along. And if he's a reader, maybe it'll be something that blesses him. But I think beyond that, there's probably very little you can do other than, praying for him that God would grip his heart around the opportunity to be faithful in money management.
I agree with you. It just distresses me. I'm debt free, and it is a blessing. The Lord has really blessed me.
I know it is, and I'm delighted you shared that with our listeners today. And I appreciate your burden for your friend, and I'm confident that your presence in his life will be an encouragement to him. And as you live out the ways of Jesus, hopefully he will be impacted by that and want to pursue that in his own life. So, Helen, stay on the line. We'll get your information. I'll get a copy of Your Money Counts from Howard Dayton in the mail to you. It'll be our gift to you. We appreciate your call today. Hey, let me finish today by just saying thanks for being on the program. Thanks for listening and calling. So many of you are such an encouragement, even our callers today, just sharing how this program has been a blessing to you. Here's what we would ask of you. If you found this program to be a blessing, or you want to help us reach more people with this message, the way to do that is to become a Faith Fi partner. This is the lifeblood of our ministry, those who support us at $35 a month or more. You can become a partner at faithfi.com. Just click give, and we'll send you 4 issues of Faithful Steward, our magazine, plus all of our studies and devotionals. As soon as they come out, they go to your door. Thanks to my team today, Devin, Sandy, Jim. Check us out at faithfi.com, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Faith and Finance is provided by Faith Fi and listeners like you.